All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to actually build out your buyer leads funnel using a tool called MailerLite. MailerLite is a system that helps you send out emails automatically on its own. Now, you've already downloaded the buyer lead funnel, and if you already have this set up, you can skip this, but I'm going to actually walk you through using again, MailerLite, but it's very similar if you're using something like MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit. They're all the same. You can use those tools, those email autoresponders, to build out an automated drip sequence here for your potential buyer leads. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually set this up and we're going to drip those emails out on a day-by-day basis. So day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, they're going to get a series of email. And the whole reason, again, about this, that why we're doing this is because most of our buyer leads are not ready to buy. They're warm, they're interested, but they need a little bit of a nudging. And what we're going to do to help nudge them along to actually buy a piece of property for you is build trust, build transparency, so they know exactly who you are, and that it makes the buying process so much easier, right? In fact, if you haven't heard of my podcast, there is an episode number 7 here. I interviewed Luke Harris on how he sells 50% of his properties through his email list. Now, he's done the exact same way of warming up his leads, but after that, once you've got them warmed up, once they trust you, every month, every once a week, every couple weeks, you can send out a property to that entire email list of a new piece of property, and perhaps it's discounted because they're on your email list. That's up to you. And then you'll get a much higher chance of somebody actually purchasing through that email list than just trying to sell it all the time on listing services. And the great thing about this is that it's all automated and it's very scalable. Once you set it up once, you don't need to worry about it ever again, right? So we're going to actually do this. You've already been given the script in my email, in my first email here. It's called the Automated Buyer Lead Funnel. If you haven't gotten it, if you head over to reifconversion.com/BLF for the Buyer Lead Funnel, and you can grab your own copy here from this download page, and that will arrive in your email inbox. All right, so how does this all play out? We saw this path here, right? We're going to be dripping out these emails, but how do people come into this automated email sequence that we're going to build out with MailerLite? That actually gets the buyer information actually gets captured on your website. So, for example, we have REI Land List. When somebody comes to your piece of property here, what we do is we actually get our potential buyers to submit their information before they can actually view that property. So if they're on your website like this is an REI Land List, they're going to see a form like this, get immediate access to view our properties. They're going to fill out their information, and it's their name and email that will get automated and pushed over right into MailerLite or MailChimp, whatever autoresponder or email system you want to use. And then once they end up on that list, you can trigger that automation. It means you can start that automation. So on day 1, when they submit their email, they will start getting your email sequence, those the 5 scripts that we sent out to you. Now, with REI Land List, we give you a couple options, right? You can force them to submit their information to you before they can actually view the actual property information, or you can soft force, which I have here. They can close out. Then you don't feel like you're being very pushy. Now, I know some people that have much more success by forcing people to submit their information in, and it really sort of filters out a lot of the tire kickers and people who aren't serious. That I'm going to leave up to you to decide, and you have full control of that inside of our website's REI Land List. For more information about REI Land List, you can head over to reifconversion.com/landlist and learn a little bit more about our sites on our websites, and you can book a tour with me. Okay, back to the video here and back to the tutorial. We're going to actually go ahead and get into a MailerLite account. I just set up a brand new account, and we're going to actually bring each of these emails in there. I'm going to show you exactly how to build this out. Okay, I am inside of my free account, and why I'm using MailerLite is because it's got a great free plan. Even under their free plan, you can get 1,000 contacts for free. That means 1,000 people on your mail list, which I think is plenty to start off with, and that might be good enough for a year or even 2. depending how hard you're collecting your leads and how often you're uploading new properties. And then they also give you the automation side of things for free. Now, I believe MailChimp used to do this. It used to be free, but no longer is that free, but it is free inside of MailerLite, and you can get your free account if you head over to reiconversion.com/tools. You can find MailerLite here, and you can sign up for your account. All right, let's come back to MailerLite. We're going to go into automations now, and we're going to create our first automation. All right, so remember, when somebody signs up on my form, it's going to come right into MailerLite, and we show you how to connect your site to MailerLite or MailChimp, wherever you want to go. And they're going to go to a specific, what MailerLite calls a group. Now, that's same thing as an email list. You can have many email lists, but this they call it groups. So when they get into a group, we're going to trigger this automation. So it says here, set up the workflow trigger. So what actually kickstart this automation? Well, we're going to kickstart it when somebody joins a specific group. We're going to just choose the default one that they created for us called REI Conversion Group. You can create as many different groups as you'd like. And again, the setup would actually be through your website side of things, pushing that over. And typically any system that, any website just like ours or form that can connect into Zapier can bring that lead over directly to MailerLite. Again, we've got a lot of walkthroughs on our side of things with the website, so you can have a watch of that at a later time. But we're going to just focus on actually building out this automation here. Okay, so this automation is going to start when a subscriber joins this list. We're going to add our first email. This is the first thing that happens right after they sign up on our email list. We're going to give it a subject line, and we're going to get that just from our script here. So I'm going to go back here, and this is the first one. This is day one, and the whole goal of this one is to explain yourself, explain everything, and build rapport, right? So we're going to use this as our subject line. I'm just going to copy it. It's going to come from Jesse and my email address. It's going to ask you to verify your email address, which is totally fine. I'm not going to do that in this demo here. I'm going to go ahead and actually design the email, and before I do that, I'm going to grab this information or this actual script here. Again, you can use the exact same thing. All you need to do is just replace anything in square brackets, whether it's single square brackets or double. Now, I'm going to use the rich text editor. It's just easy. Drag and drop editor is even easier. Probably looks prettier, but just for this example's sake, I'm just going to use the rich text editor here. All right, so it's going to load up this blank email for me. I'm going to start writing in here. I'm going to paste it, the entire script here. Great. Now I'm going to change this information. Hi, and it should be their first name. So I'm going to go for the variable tags here or fields, and I'm going to choose name. So it'll always show up their name. And I'm going to go ahead and change anything in square brackets. Land company alert deals. And every month, let's say, or every week, say we send out a deal of the month. We call it deal of the week. How about that? We are a let's see, family owned. We are a family owned business. We know what it's like to dream of owning a piece of land. Like I said, anything in square brackets you want to replace, and feel free to even alter this template as much as you'd like. I'm not going to actually go into details and fill out all this information. There's no need for me to do that, but you get the point. Once this is done, this first email is ready to go. You're going to hit done editing. All right, so we've now completed the first email. We want the second email to go out one day after on day 2. So we're going to first of all scroll down here to day 2. And this one talks more about my story, why I needed to buy land. And one of the cool things is I'm going to insert a photo here, maybe of myself. Again, the more exposure you can give of yourself, the more trust you can build, right? So we're going to go ahead and add the next step to the sequence. Now, before we hit email, we're going to actually create a delay because it's going to send out the next day. So we're going to delay it by 1 day here. And then we're going to go ahead and now create the email. And I'm going to actually design the email content. You can see this is pretty straightforward. Oops, I need a subject line. So I'm going to go back and grab the subject line, which I've created already here. You can use the same thing if you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and design the email now. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to grab the body of the email. And remember, anything in the square bracket needs to be replaced You don't want to be showing that. I've made mistakes of that before, so sometimes that still happens when I'm working on REI conversion emails. I'm going to paste this in here. I'm going to format it nicely the way that I like it, right? The buyer lead's name is going to actually be a dynamic variable field here, so it's going to be their name. And one of the really cool things in this email is we're going to actually insert a photo. So if I mouse over here and hit image, I can then drag in a like my photo, or yeah, whatever photo you want to use of yourself. I think this is really important to do so. Again, to show your face really builds a lot of trust with your buyers. Again, I'm not going to fill out and format everything. There's no need for me to do that on this video here. I'm going to hit done editing. Now, on to email number. I just want to talk a little bit about email number 4. And what's really interesting about email number 4 is this one is really powerful because you're really teaching your buyer how to research land. And you actually give them the steps here. And I actually say create a video on walking them through. So you can actually create a video of you walking them through on how to research a piece of land, say on the GIS system, right? So I would record my screen like I am recording right now to you. I would use a tool called loom.com, and to find that, I'm going to pull that up. Loom allows you to create these awesome screen recordings with your face and your microphone talking to it, and it'll show your screen. So you can do an actual example of you researching a piece of property, what to look for, sort of like in that script I broke down in there. And what Loom does is it actually spits out a video link. You can link it on your email, or better yet, download it and upload it onto YouTube and put it onto YouTube. Google loves that for SEO. Okay, so you can see here you want to insert a image with a link of your video. I think that's screenshot your video, put it into this email like I showed you how to add a got so many here, like how I had add an image. You would show an image, you would screenshot the image of your video here. All right. So again, it's a very simple process here. You want to do this for the next 5 emails. Now, better yet, if you can even build an even longer sequence. A great one I like to do perhaps 2 months or 3 months down the road is just do a 1-sentence email. You can do your 5 emails and then do a trigger, say delay it after for 1 month or 2 months, and do an email which is a catch-up email that says one simple thing like, hey Joe, how's it going? How's your land hunting going right now? Are you still looking for land? Or something to cause a response. I actually want to come back to number 1, the email number 1 here. If you're going to use my script here, or if you're going to change it actually, I want you to make sure in your first email that you have a call to action here. In number 1, in our first email, we actually get them to reply to us and get them to answer 2 questions. Now we do this for 2 reasons here. 1, because we can build rapport and trust that when you're sort of having a conversation with them, they know you're a real person. But 2, on the technical end, when somebody replies to your email, right, especially in this first one here, we actually get them. We ask 2 questions. We ask them to reply to this email. There is less of a chance that your emails will end up in their spam or junk in the future. Maybe the first one goes through, but the second, third, it gets slimmer and slimmer to make it into the inbox because this is an automated email. Email inboxes are able to tell that. So what you want to make sure you do is ask them to reply. So your first one, the more replies you can get on all of them, the better, but I would suggest at least the first one you get a reply. Okay, so just to review, what we've done here is actually started building out an automation, and I would just continue to build out all 5 of them. Maybe your third email is going to be a delay of 1 day again, and maybe the next one is going to be a delay of 2 emails. Essentially, with my script here, you've got 5 emails that you can build out, right? Because it goes up to day 5. Now you can, with longer delays, it might go up to day 7 or 8. And you can add to that if you like. But I think 5 is a great starting number. I'm sort of jumping between so many screens here. And once you're done, right, go back to your automation list here. You're going to see your automation here. Now, the last thing you'll want to do is then connect your opt-in form or your form where you're capturing your leads, right? Where you're capturing your leads, where you're capturing your buyer leads, to make sure they end up inside of MailerLite so that when they end up inside of here, they get thrown into this automation workflow inside of MailerLite. If you have any questions about actual technical setup of your automation or your buyer lead sequence, whatever you want to call it, please feel free to hit reply to this email. Let me know. This video came as part of an email. This is the exact same thing that we're showing you right now is exactly what you're building out, but for your buyer leads instead. So feel free to hit a reply on that email. Let me know if you have any questions I can help out with. And again, if you have any questions and you want to check out a little bit more about our sites that tie into your automated email system that makes this all hands off. You don't need to worry about it. It's all set up once you get this up and running, and it's super scalable because you can start running so much traffic through this and warming up all these leads. Then you're going to throw them new properties. You want to just head over to reiconversion.com/landlist. That's reiconversion.com/landlist. Feel free to have a read through this, and then feel free to also book a tour with me if you haven't set up your websites just yet. I'd love to show you some of the tools that we have built into here. All right, we'll talk soon, and cheers.